Good morning, traders. Welcome to Trading Together. I'm Mel Gacee. Today is Tuesday, January the 20th. I hope everybody had a long, relaxing, restful, uh, long weekend. It was great for me. I enjoyed it very much. And I hope everybody is doing well today. So we had quite the little surprise in the market, didn't we? We had a big flash crash over the weekend. So we opened up to a of over 100 points. So how do we trade this? This has been a challenge also to trade yet this morning. I have traded a couple of times. I broke even on one and I'm in another right now. So that it has been challenging. So let's talk about that today. Audrey is here. Good morning, Audrey. And if you are here, I would drop your name in the chat live in front of you to show you how I do it, to talk through my trade. I'm also going to analyze ability and teach and train as I go this space. And I want this to be a really encouraging, safe space for everybody who joins. So no such thing as a dumb question, no such thing as a newbie question. I welcome all. So please feel free. All right. Good morning. Anna is here. Hello. All right. So let's look at this chart. We're going to start by looking at the daily of the SPX, the S&P. Remember, that's our index that houses the top 500 stocks. So here's our daily chart. And you can see this big drop down is Friday's candle. Give me just one moment. I'll be right back. Got something on the stove. Thanks for your patience. I turned my tea on and I forgot that I left it on. So thanks for being patient with me. All right, James, good morning. Good to see you. Here we are trading together. Okay, so we're looking at the daily chart and you can see this big gaping gap, right? Look at how big that is. That's over 100 points gap down. But a couple of things I want to point out here. We're looking at in the big picture, right? If we zoom way out, we are looking at an upward trend. So yes, there's a drop here, but if we look at the big picture, scrunch this down and look all the way to our left from April, since April, we've really been in this upward trend. We had a break of structure here at this November drop, but we recovered and came back into not the same channel, right? This is something to be aware of. We're not in the same channel. We're in a lower channel. We've kind of created a secondary channel here. But nevertheless, the big picture is still up. Now, if we zoom in a little bit, I'll show you. Well, before we do that, I want you to look at this blue line right here. Hopefully you can see it. The blue doesn't show up very well against my black screen, but if I highlight it, hopefully you can see it. This blue line here is the 50-day moving average. And we can see how many times we've come down to kind of test that. So we tested it here in October, tested it again in November, broke through it pretty ugly down to the 100 at the end of November, then recovered and now tested it here mid-December. And here we are testing it again today. We are at the moment getting a bounce. So let me zoom in so you can see that. Now that we've got the big picture, let's zoom in so you can see the bounce that we're getting. So here's that blue line again, a little closer up. And this is that break that we had in November and then a recovery. Here's the test that we had in December, recovery. And here's the test today. So here we are as of Friday, all up here in the clouds. And then boom, we get a nice flash crash. The VIX spikes up over 20 and we get this quick crash. But what we can see is the tail of this candle has come down. Let me zoom in some more. I want to be sure you can see it. The tail of this candle has come down to break the 50, and the body of the candle so far is recovering it, holding it. The other thing to notice is this yellow line right here is a support on the S&P 500. It is the 6850 line. That line, if we zoom out a little bit, you can see has acted as support and resistance. So take a look. Here it's kind of a bounce off of it. We come up through it, come down. So it's a little resistance here, resistance, pop over it, come down. Right here, we sat right on it at support. And so far today, we are on it and holding it. So that's something we need to be aware of. We are holding the 50. We are holding the 6850 level on the SPX. As long as we do that, we can see another recovery to the upside, as it's done every time. Now, could this be the one time that it changes? Yes, it could be. Could this be the one time that we get that crush all the way down here? Yes, it could be. But the recent history says when we hit the 50, we bounce. Hit the 50, bounce. Break the 50, but recover. Pierce the 50, bounce. Pierce the 50. So far, bounce. So it remains to be seen what happens today. Now, how do we trade this? Let's take a look at the VIX next, because VIX is the reason for this pop today. Drop, pop on the VIX, drop on the SPX. Now, remember that the VIX is the volatility index, otherwise known as the fear gauge. This gives us the emotion of the market. This tells us what is the market feeling. The VIX is built off of looking at options on the S&P 500 a month out. It goes and gauges the sentiment of the market. So it's out here gauging the sentiment of the market, and we get a pop on the VIX. When the market fear goes up, that's why they call it the fear index. When it goes up, VIX goes up with it. So as market fear goes up, VIX is going up. When fear goes up, market comes down. So as VIX rises, the market comes down. When the VIX lowers and comes down, the market is complacent, happy, risk on, ready to rock and roll and move up. So VIX down, market up, VIX up, market down. So we've been talking about the VIX. Just about every single stream that I do, we talk about the VIX. And what do we notice about the VIX? What have we been saying? You guys have been with me. What have we been saying? Rising bottom on the VIX. Rising bottom right here on the VIX from late December. Rising bottom. And what did I say? The odds of getting a spike here are growing. As this bottom rises, the odds of getting a spike are growing. And sure enough, we get this spike over the weekend, right? So nobody gets to get in, nobody gets to make money on it, just the big boys. They push it around where they want. So we get the spike on the VIX, and now the VIX came all the way up to 20.7 and is backed off a little bit from that. So we're watching that. Let's zoom out a little bit and see, could we spike some more? What happens when we hit 20? Let's see what happens normally when we hit 20 on the VIX. So here's our level right here where I've got my cursor. And we can see that we did this spike once before on 8/1. What was that? I want to say that was Liberation Day. We had that big spike on the VIX, big drop. I think I'm right. That was Liberation Day. That November drop that I showed you, October drop that I showed you is right here. And this is the November drop that I showed you. So these spikes can be traced directly back to the market, and we can see the immediate correlation with the market dropping on the days that the VIX is spiking. So we've hit 20 a couple of times. We hit it over here in June and it got punched back down. We hit it over here in August. It got punched back down. We hit it here in October, but it continued up for a few days. We hit it over here in November and it continued up for a few days and then dropped. So, you know, it's questionable. We are over the 200 on the VIX. That's something to be aware of. We need to be aware of that. We're over the VIX, over the 200 on the VIX. Now it's dropping down. If we come back down, if it gets a big knockdown, and this is just one of these temporary spikes, then we'll see the market recover pretty quickly. If we continue this trend upward, we could continue to drop. And so the VIX tells us a lot. Now, let's see. This spike up over 20 came down like we're doing today. And the next day we had another spike up. So that's not off the table. It's not off the table that we get another spike up and another big drop down. All right, Kids Fishing is here. Good morning. Thank you for saying hi and welcome. All right, so that's what we got to keep our eye on. Again, like I said, we hit 20 over here on November 14th, and it looked like we were going to knock it back down. But then the next day spike, next day spike. So bear that in mind. We could get that. That could happen. Okay, let's get back over to our charts and see how do we trade this. I'm going to go over to my futures chart. That's the ES. It's called the ES on, that's the futures over the S&P 500. All right, so we're getting a nice push up here. And we've got a little top that we're building right here. Where is that top on the S&P 500? That top is sitting at 68.71 so far. On the SPY, we peaked out at 684. Quite a climb from the bottom, which was at 679. That's a 50-point climb. So that's hopeful that we could see this thing turn around and move upward. So that is there is some hope there. How do we trade this? Right now, we are over the VIX. The VIX is popping. We are over the VWAP right now. So that is telling us at the moment, we are at least getting somewhat of a bullish momentum. Now, at this very moment, it's coming down a little bit, but we are over the VWAP, okay? So that's one thing to be aware of. That is going to give you a good indication of what side of the highway are we on. Right now, we're northbound. Now, of course, we are not super strong at the moment. We're doing this zigzag, right? But that is how the market moves. It moves in waves. So at the moment, we're looking at bullish. The other thing we want to look at is our MACD. So at the current moment, the MACD is kind of saying momentum dying out on this upward move. So let's zoom in a little bit here. Momentum kind of dying out according to the MACD right here. So we were moving up. We hit the top of the VWAP and the MACD started cooling off. So let's watch and see. Right now, it looks like they're trying to form an upward channel with a higher high and a higher low. So if we continue on this, if we get another leg up, we could trade that. We'll have to watch and see. If we get a break of structure here, this line, then we could consider puts, but I'd be careful of that over the VWAP right now. All right, so the other thing, the other way, other things that I look at when I'm considering how to trade a certain chart is I look at the leaders. So what are the leaders doing today? Well, who are the leaders, first of all? So on the green side, we've got silver and gold leading. Silver up 5%, gold up 3%. That's telling me, flight to safety, back in play again. UNH up, so healthcare is probably up today. Defensive, that's a defensive sector, flight to safety. So those are kind of the leaders who are who's kind of at the bottom today. Well, Bitcoin took a hard drop today. So Bitcoin down in the 90s when it was up at 98. Eggy Bodge, good morning. I am sorry if I say that wrong. Please forgive me. Hello, Mel. When you have time, is it possible to show how to trade? Really new to in this software. Of course, absolutely. Yes, we sure will talk about that. Eggy, can I call you Eggy? I hope I can. Tell me what to call you if that's wrong. Can you, you're in Thinkorswim, is that right? I think you are. I think we've talked before about that. Okay, so now on the loser board, what we're looking at is Bitcoin's looking pretty icky, down at 90 when it was up at 98. And then we've got at the bottom of the Mag 7s, we've got Broadcom leading the descent at 3.6% down, NVIDIA down almost 3%, Tesla down 2.7%, Amazon 2.1%. The MAGs as an ETF as a whole down 1.8, Meta down 1.6, Apple down 1.5, and the Qs are down below us by just a little bit at 1.1. We're also sitting at 1.1, which is better than where we were. So that's kind of the other thing I do is look to the leadership, what's happening here. All right, looks like we're trying to maintain this structure to the upside. All right, correct, on Thinkorswim. All right, Aggie, great. Yes, I will show you when we get ready to place a trade what that looks like, okay? And also, Aggie, let me point one thing out that'll be really helpful for you. Thinkorswim has a function called On Demand. If you can see my cursor, it's up here in this upper right-hand corner. And this will create a sim environment, a virtual environment for you to trade in. You can go into On Demand and you can set it for any day, pretty much any day in history, and you can retrade that day. So remember, when you're in On Demand, it's all virtual and you can just play in there. It's a virtual account. It won't touch your real account, and you can really do all kinds of testing and training in there, Eggy. So that's what I would recommend, is to use your on-demand function to learn those orders. And I'll show you when we get ready to place an order how that looks. But that's a great place to practice. Also, you can also trade in what's called paper trading. So when you log into Thinkorswim, before you even put your credentials in, there's a spot at the bottom that says live trade or paper trade. If you choose paper trade, once again, you're in a sim environment, in a sim account, but you're trading real time with the market, okay? So either one of those things are great tools for learning for free without putting your money at stake or at risk. And I recommend that when you're new. Use that paper trading, use that on-demand virtual environment. It's wonderful. It's very helpful, and it'll really give you the feel for how to use the software. All right, Audrey, using paper trading in TradingView. Great, Audrey. I applaud that, because too many newer traders will get in and they're thinking that, they're just going to go full force. And a lot of times when you're new, you can lose money. So, or even when you're not new, you can lose money. So I absolutely applaud that. Use your paper trading, get comfortable with your platform before you put your money at risk, right? All right, Eggy, beautiful. Thanks. I'm in simulated trading right now. Excellent, Eggy. Great. Glad to hear it. Audrey instantly lost $10. It happens. It happens so fast. Very, very quick. All right. So right now what I'm waiting for is a bit of a turn up. If we can get another leg up here, we haven't quite broken this structure. We've come a little close. But if we can get these moving averages to turn upward, we might consider taking a call. Now, remember, calls are when you want the market to go up. Puts are when you want the market to come down. In my style of trading, you can make money both directions. It's a great thing. It's a beautiful thing. So calls are up, puts are down. That means that you make money on puts when the market goes down. You make money on calls when the market goes up. All right, looks like we could be getting a little cross here. What I'm watching for is for this moving average to turn and start heading upward. That's what I'm looking for. And I'd like to see it make a new high. So here's this high, here's a little higher high. If this structure holds true, we could make a higher high. If we break structure, then we're coming back down probably to the VWAP. All right. Watching here. And I'm also watching my VIX, and it's really just kind of sideways right now. VIX is not really moving up or down, just kind of going sideways. So no real strength of movement in either direction. So we watch. And 90%, you'll hear me say this a lot, 90% of trading is waiting. It is waiting, being patient, waiting for your trades to set up, waiting for your trades to work out, waiting. By the way, if you were with me on Friday, I took a trade. It went against me. I held it for quite a bit of time. I averaged it. I did get out with a decent win. So just to let you all know that, because I told you I'd fill you in on how that Friday trade went. And it was hairy there for a while, that's for sure. All right. So, Eggy, what's your strategy? What do you search for? I've followed another trader who followed a tactic with the EMA, talked about that you were the best in scalping. I'm so thankful for that. Could you let me know what trader that was? I would love to thank her for that. Amanda, perhaps you know her. Okay. Who is Amanda is the name? I'm not sure I know that name, but it's great to hear someone given me a little vote of confidence. I do appreciate that. So my strategy, I have a proprietary strategy that I use, but I also, the main idea is going to be looking at the MACD, looking at the moving averages, looking at I'm going to look at the RSI, and I also have certain levels on my chart that I'm looking for. Amanda Custer. Well, thank you for that. I'm not sure I know her, but I sure do appreciate the vote of confidence. And that's really always appreciated. I'll see if I can find her. So my strategy is basically I'm using the MACD. I'm looking at volume. I'm looking at RSI. I'm looking at moving averages. And I'm using levels. So I also have levels on my chart. I've got overnight highs, overnight lows, yesterday's highs and lows. And then I also use an opening range. So the first 15 minutes, that's these levels right here. So, but I'm looking on the 1 minute chart. So because I'm a scalper, I do need to look at a 1 minute chart. That's important. All right, so right now we're still kind of getting this sideways action, but it looks like we could be breaking the structure here. So we had a little bit of a higher high, and then it's come back down. Now we are testing the VWAP. Oh, sorry, Aggie, I also use the VWAP. So when we are over the VWAP, I'm looking at bullish. When we're under the VWAP, I'm looking at bearish. That's a guideline. Sometimes that, can be modified, but for the most part, especially for newer traders, I would say watch your VWAP. It will keep you out of a lot of bad trades, right? Okay. So right now we're rounding over a bit back to the VWAP. I wouldn't trade puts until we pretty decisively broke through to the downside. Let's see if we can get another push off of the VWAP, because we sort of toggled over under it here. We broke down, came up, broke down, came up. Now we've been staying over it until right now. So let's see if we can hold it. It's also corresponding with the 6850 support level. You can see that over here on the SPX. This yellow line right here where my cursor is, that's the 6850 support level that we were looking at on the daily chart. So this VWAP is corresponding with that 6850. That's no accident. That's because that's where the money has been over under, right? They're trying to hold 6850 as support, which also corresponds with the 50-day moving average. They're pretty close to each other. All right. So we're going to give this a minute and see if this bounce materializes. Watching for a change of these moving averages. Watching for this response at the VWAP. And also kind of keeping my eye on the VIX down here. We're getting this still kind of sideways-ish. 19 points is where the VIX is sitting after it spiked up over 20. All right, we're getting a little move down on the VIX, which is corresponding to a little move up here. Let's see if we can push through this green line. Remember, that's the top of our opening range. Sometimes that level gets tested and retested as well. This moving average still is not changed, so that's what I'm watching for. We're starting to get across here, so that's positive. The MACD is starting to curl up. That's positive, but not a firm signal yet. The other thing to watch is your volume. So you can see here that we were sort of moving down in volume as we moved down in price. And then we started getting a little volume change as we started, looks like, changing direction. We could possibly be moving back up now. Okay, moving average is changing. I'm going to go ahead and I think take a call at 683. I'm going to trade small. It's a bit of a challenging day today. I'm not in it yet. All right, I'm going to go ahead and take this call. Punch it. I am in. Okay, we're just watching to see if we can get this to continue up. If it comes back down and changes direction on the moving average, I may get out. I may stop out there. All right. Eggy, I don't know why, but my charts don't show the same as yours. MACD right now is green bars in the top of Thinkorswim. It says delayed data. Yes. Okay. Delayed data is something you need to talk to Thinkorswim about. There's an agreement you have to sign that says that you're not a professional financial person. Call Thinkorswim and you can get that data set to real time. And yes, they won't, your MACD, none of those things will match because you're looking at delayed data. So that'll be pretty hard to trade until you fix that, but they'll fix it for you. Just call them up. They're very good. Their support is good. Just call them and let them know you need real-time data, and they will give it to you. All right, so just watching to see if we're rolling over here. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome, Maggie. No problem at all. All right, let's see if we can get this to push again. Getting a little bit more volume popping in there. See if we can get a push over the top here. It's been very challenging trading today. So just so you know that today has been a challenging day to trade. So some days, if you're not feeling it, it's okay. What do we say? Cash is a position. If you're not feeling it some days, it's okay not to trade. Some days are challenging. All right, let's see if we can get this to push one more time. That's good. I'd like to see us come up and hit this top again right here. If we could, that would be great, but I'm not going to hold that long. It's just making tiny candles here. They're kind of holding it right now. What we don't want is a reversal. We need this to continue up. All right, better. Little push. It's just kind of sitting flat at the moment. Major right now. We've got a little top right here that they're building, which needs to break. Right there where my cursor is. 6860 is where we're sitting on the SPX. There's a little move up. Let's see if we can get a volume with it. That would be great. And we're just waiting for movement. So what did I say? 90% of trading is waiting. Patience is absolutely vital when you're a trader. You have to have it. You have to be patient. There we go. There we go. Nice. I'm going to jump out here at 4% profit. Punch it. I'm out. Should come up and retest the VWAP, but I'm not going to wait on it. So I'm out of that one. And if you followed, let me know. Nice little movement here. We like it. Keep it going. I'd love to see us come up and retest the top of that VWAP again. Now, one rule that I have is ice. I'm pretty careful about that. Here's our volume picking up. That's what we want to see. Let's come test this top again. And we're getting a little moving average on this candle. Let's see if we can jump up over it. We do have the volume push right here. VIX is coming down just a little bit more, sitting at 18.7. I think we got a little bit more to climb. Come on, don't drop it now. Average turnaround and a drop down to the VWAP. Just like I said before, I don't think I would any puts until we actually cross the VWAP. We've really been trying to hold it for a couple hours now. So we reclaimed it back here about an hour and a half. We reclaimed it and we really haven't let it go. So it tells me bullish. So even if we get a pull down here, which is possible and even likely, I don't think I'd play it just because they're showing me that they're trying to hold the VWAP today, which is bullish. All right. We got a little green candle response to that red one. Just a little sideways top right here. The VIX isn't doing much of anything. Kind of just doing its thing down here. On a downward trend at the moment. All right, that's a little bit better. So the price right now is just kind of going sideways. It's moving through this average. So what we want is the price to come up and reclaim that average and continue up. We don't want it to roll. I mean, it could roll over and that's fine. We could trade that too, but I'm more interested in trading upward right now. Nice. That's great. Price coming back up through this moving average. Nice. There we go. Let's see if we can come on up here and beat this top. All right, the Maddie. Good morning. Which line is it on your chart? Great question. And thank you for being here, Maddie. I really appreciate that. Welcome, welcome. The VWAP on my chart, I make it a little heavier. It's a little thicker line. It's this white one right here. So I can see it kind of at a distance, right? So let me zoom out and hopefully it'll be a little more clear. There's so many lines on my chart. I do apologize. I promise you they all mean something. But the VWAP is by and large one of my favorite indicators. And so I keep this line heavy so you can see it. Now the outer lines are the same color, but they're thinner. So the VWAP has three components to it. It has the center line, which is the actual volume weighted average price. And then it has the upper line and the lower line, which are made by 2 standard deviations to the upside or 2 standard deviations to the downside. But this line right here is what I call the highway divider, right? The highway, I'm thinking AC/DC, highway to hell. No, it's not the highway to hell. It's the divider. It's the center line. Think of it as a center line of your highway. And northbound traffic is when the price is moving up. Southbound traffic is when the price is coming down. The VWAP is your center. If you're over the VWAP, by northbound. If you're south of the VWAP or under the VWAP, by and large, you're going to be southbound. So that's how I use it to kind of give me my mile markers. Where am I? Bullish or bearish? What direction am I going? And so that's how I kind of decide how I'm trading, right? So I didn't trade these puts here because we're over the VWAP. Now, sometimes I will take reversal trades over the VWAP or under the VWAP, but I'm very cautious with those. So I am going to take call trades over the VWAP usually. All right, Maddie saying thank you. You're so welcome. Very welcome. And thanks for being here. All right. So we're getting a bit of a sideways, and it's kind of ranging between 682 and 684 is kind of where our range is sitting, which is still down 1.2% from Friday's close. It's still significant. That's still quite a drop, and we still have to be aware that that is pretty bearish. So even though we're north of the VWAP, and even though it looks like we're trying to hold our 6850 and try to hold our 50-day moving average, even though we're looks like we're trying to hold that, we have to keep in mind, bear in mind that we are down a percent, 1.2%, and that at any moment we can turn and sell. This thing can sell violently. Don't forget, we're sitting at 8.8 on the VIX. So it can turn and sell off, and we have to be aware of that. Don't get stuck in a bias. Always trade your charts. That's really, really important. So right now it's still a range over the VWAP. So now that our moving average is turning again to the downside, you can see it here. I'm going to wait to see if we get another turn to the upside and trade it again, just like we did on this one. If we break the VWAP, then I'll consider puts. And our volume is kind of intermittent, right? So we got that volume push here, which is what helped me make the decision to take that call. And then it's kind of come off a little bit. It's come up a little bit on this downward move. So that's something to be aware of. We got to watch for that. And the VIX is giving us a little pop. Back up to 19. Well, 18.9. So no put for me. And if we cross the VWAP, I don't know if I'd take the put on the cross of the VWAP because it might be a little bit too long of a move. But if we cross the VWAP and head down and then get a pullback, I might take a downward trade. If we come to the VWAP and get another bounce, I'm going to look at an upward trade. Calls. Let's see what VIX wants to do here. Just ranging at the moment. That's what we're getting. And sometimes you can trade the range. So when a range is very clearly defined and it's big enough, if the range is big enough, you can wait for it to hit the top and then get some reversal signals and trade downward. You can wait for it to hit the bottom of the range and get reversal signals and trade it upwards. But the range has to be big enough. The range we're in right now is not big enough for me to trade it. So I would call this the range right in here. Let me draw a line for you. It might make it easier to see. So I would call this the bottom, this the top, and I could probably move it down a little bit here. So this is kind of the range we're in currently, right? And is that big enough to trade? No, it's not, because that is a 44 to 28. That is only a 16-point range. So when you're in the middle of the range, you've only got 8 points to the up or the downside. That's not enough for me. All right, let's remove that. Yeah, we're testing the VWAP again. Oops, I've got my wrong drawing tool on for that. There we go. All right, getting a green candle off the VWAP at the moment. Let's see if we bounce it again. Audrey, how many points do you like to have? Great question, Audrey. If we're in a range, I'd like to see at least 10 points available overhead from the middle point of the range. So you'll notice that when we're in a range, they spend a lot of time in the center of it. That makes it hard for you to win. When you're in the center of the range and they push it up, that's not enough to win. When you're in the center of the range and they push it down, that's not enough to win. So the range has to be big enough so that when you're in the center, you can see at least 10 points. And I call it 10 points on the SPY. It's basically uh, $1, right? $1 is 10 points on the SPX. So I want to see a dollar movement to the top or the bottom from the center of the range on the SPY. Great question, Audrey. Thank you so much. All right, still testing the VWAP here. Volume dropping off a little bit. Let's see if we can get a bounce with some volume. That would be great. All right, looks like it could be bouncing here. VIX sort of slowing down on its climb here. The Qs are right next to us. So remember, the Qs are the ETF over the NASDAQ. The SPY is the ETF over the S&P 500. NASDAQ is an index. S&P 500 is an index. You can't own them. If you want to own them, you have to buy the ETF. And the ETF, there are several, but the biggest one over the S&P 500 is the SPY. Biggest one over the NASDAQ is the Qs. So those, I watch the Qs a lot for leadership. Sometimes we lead, sometimes they lead. And right now we are neck and neck. We're both down about 1.3%. Still holding 68.50. That's the critical thing here. And again, remember I said 68.50 over here on the SPX is the same as it's at the same level as the VWAP. All right, Eggy, what am I looking at in the Mel watch list? Great question, Eggy, and lots of attention to detail for you. Excellent. The Mel watch list basically has all the indices, their ETFs. It has Bitcoin, which I watch. It has the Mag 7 or Mag 8, as we would call them, all of the tech stocks, right? It has a couple that I just keep my eye on that I'm in trades for. So UNH, I'm watching, that's United Health. But by and large, that's what I keep. Oh, also silver and gold. All right, getting a little bounce here. I like this. I'm looking maybe at some calls again here. Nice little push. Starting to see the moving average curl. It's kind of a fast moving candle, so I'm hesitant to jump in because we don't have a lot of room to the top. 44.37. Nice little push though, right off the VWAP. Only took 2 candles to bounce right back up into that range. Volume picking up. I'm looking at 683 calls. I'm not in anything yet. Kind of a bit of a red candle here. And a little pop on the VIX. Coming right back down. So this is where it's trappy. And this is where you have to be careful. When you see the majority of the move happen in 1 or 2 candles, and then another candle reversing it right back down, that's trappy. Very hard to trade that. All right, let's see. Maybe they break it this time. What are we doing? $68.50 still holding for now. So we do have the moving average starting to try to curl up, but with this response candle, now we've got to watch. And the MACD kind of brightening up to the downside here, with the VIX giving us a little pop. So caution, we're back at the VWAP. And this kind of trading is just challenging. This day has been a challenging day to trade. So if you're new, don't beat yourself up if it's not making sense. This is a challenging trading day. It is. And I love that some of you are paper trading. I think that's a great way to get those reps in. All right. Eggy, when you said I'm looking for the 683 calls, can you explain why you chose 683 so I understand how you think? Sorry for so many new questions. Absolutely not. Don't be sorry. This is a place to ask those questions. I love it. I will show you right now. Let me watch this cross of the VWAP here because we could be looking at puts, but I will show you right now why I picked those. And the short answer is I pick the first strike in the money. So first calls in the money or first puts in the money. What I want is a delta of at least 50. And that's what I'm looking for. But I will show you on the option chain right now, Eggy, what that looks like. Great question. We are breaking the VWAP here, so I'm really paying attention here to see if we're going to get a hard drop. If we start getting a hard drop, I may pivot over to puts. But if we recover this VWAP and come back up, then I'm just going to wait for this moving average to change direction and then get into calls. Holding it for now. Sitting at 68.49 on the SPX. There we go. Another reclaim of the VWAP for now. See if we can get another bounce up here. Okay, looking good. So I'll show you real quick, Eggy, what I'm looking for. I'm coming out here. I'm looking for these shaded areas. So on the left are the calls. On the right are the puts. And as soon as it shades, it goes into shade, this blue shade, that is in the money. And that's just based on where we're currently trading. So SPY is trading at 683. So the first call in the money is the 683. The first put in the money is the 684. And you can see the shading on there. On Thinkorswim, I just click and then it brings me up my order and then confirm and send and send. I just click this, hover over the ask, click on the first one in the money, and then it brings up the order. And then you just confirm and send send on Thinkorswim. So that's how I do it, Eggy. Great question. All right, so 2 strong candles again, just like this one. 2 strong candles. Let's see if it continues this time. All right, I'm going to go ahead and try this call here, the 683. I'm in, punch it. I'm at 5%, 6%, 7%, 8%. I'm out, punch it at 7%. All right, did anybody take that? Audrey did a paper trade and up $30. Nicely done, Audrey. Great job. That was a quick 7% for me, so that's good. I'm happy with that. That's how quickly I trade, guys, and I'm sorry that it's fast, but that is my style. I am a scalper. It's what I do. And I don't care if I leave money on the table. And I know some traders will cringe at that and say it's ridiculous, but this is the style that I've developed. And as a scalper, I have made my peace with taking a slice of the pie and leaving money on the table. I'm okay with that. I'm really okay with that because I make money every day. Almost every day. I mean, I have my red days, but almost every day I make money. And it's on consistent base hits. That's just my style. That doesn't resonate with everybody, and that's okay. That's okay. Everybody, I want you all to develop your own style. Learn from me what you can, and then develop your own style because everyone has different risk tolerance, different life situations. Not everybody can watch the charts. Sometimes you want to do swing trading. So there are a lot of different ways to skin this cat. There's no one perfect way to trade. This is just the way I've developed and what works for me. You will develop your own system as you grow and learn. Okay? All right. Audrey, trying to work on my emotional adrenaline response with holding too long and then losing money. It's the hardest, Audrey. Emotions are the hardest part of trading. I always say patience, is 90%, but that's an emotion too. Learning how to just take a deep breath and not worry about it. And here's the thing I would say, Audrey, I think you're paper trading. Is that right? Okay. When you paper trade, if you're feeling those emotions, just remind yourself, it's just paper. I'm not going to lose anything. This is not going to hurt me. And when you're real trading, only trade in amounts that literally you're prepared to lose. I follow one trader. She's just an amazing such a great trader. Marcy, I can't say her last name. She is amazing. And her, what she says is, if you're not prepared to lose the next 20 trades, then don't do it. When I think that's a little extreme, I'm not prepared to lose my next 20 trades. I'm not, but I am prepared to lose my next trade. And that's where you have to be sitting. You've got to be prepared to lose your next trade. And that's what you can't be afraid of. And so either paper trade or size yourself down so that it doesn't hurt so much, right? Go into that trade knowing, all right, I could lose all of this. And if I do, I'll be okay. If you're in so big that this is going to really hurt your account and, I'm going to be, I'm going to lose 25, 50% of my account if I lose this trade, That's too big, too big. Don't do that. I don't care how much experience you have. Don't trade like that. It's not going to end well. I'm telling you, it's not going to end well. All right. So Audrey, good advice. Thank you. Thanks, Audrey. I've blown up my fair share of accounts in the past. I'll tell you that. I All right, guys, we are nearing the end of the stream. I guess we're at the end of the stream. We're getting a nice climb here, which is great. So let me tell you my trading plan for the rest of the day. I want to break out of this range. So I want to see them push this top here and continue up, or break this VWAP and continue down. Right now, this range, we have traded it twice today. We traded it over here on this run, and we traded it on this run. We made money on both of those, little bit, 7% on one, 3% on the other. That's okay. Right now, this range is challenging to trade. It's just not that big. What we want to see is a break of this range to the upside, or a break of the VWAP to the downside. Once we get that, it'll be a little easier to decide where they're trying to go today. My gut feeling says they're trying to hold 68.50, trying to go up. But like I said, with the VIX sitting at 19 or 18, you another flash crash just like that. So don't get complacent on a day where the VIX is elevated. That's the trading plan for me today. Guys, it was so much fun to trade. You're here with me. I love that you're learning and asking questions. And thank you so much for being so interactive and so friendly. I appreciate you all. We'll be back again tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Mountain. And I hope to see you very soon. Bye-bye for now.